With you guys today, DiJonai Carrington, after clotheslining Sophie Cunningham, running into the locker room, screaming, "That's white privilege!" Then tweeting 8/23, threatening Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever. DiJonai Carrington now comes out and clarifies what she means when she says white privilege for the Indiana Fever.
So with 2 minutes left in the first quarter, DiJonai Carrington just slapped the dog shit out of Sophie Cunningham. Sophie pops up. She's obviously upset. DiJonai says, "Try me." And then look at Stephanie White. Look at her face. Look. It's mad as shit. Now, number one, this is obviously a flagrant 2. It just is. By the letter of the law, you got to call a flagrant 2. We all know these refs are not.
That girl needs to be thrown out the league. She's not even a good enough player to be bringing this type of drama. She needs to be thrown out.
DJ Carrington was ejected from the game, but instead of simply moving on, she took the controversy straight to social media. Rather than apologizing or explaining herself, she posted 2 explosive words from the locker room: white privilege. Days later, she was still defending, clarifying, and arguing over the message. What started as a single post quickly became one of the WNBA's strangest controversies of the season.
Sophie Cunningham, otherwise known as MAGA Barbie in the WNBA, is a superstar player. She's one of the most famous female athletes in the world because she stood up for women in women's sports, saying only biological women should be allowed to play in the WNBA. And for that, she is literally risking her life. Check this out. This is what happened to Sophie Cunningham last night when she was clotheslined by a filthy, dirty player for Chicago who has a name that I can't pronounce, or maybe I just refuse to do that. That's my right as an American. But this is a player that has attacked Caitlin Clark, gouged her eye out, that has now bloodied the face of Sophie Cunningham. And as soon as she did this, she tweeted white privilege, meaning she's declaring this is a race crime. Now, if a white woman was doing this to black women, it'd be the #1 story in the world. She'd be banned from the league forever. But somehow black women are allowed to get away with this against white women. And it's white women in the league who make themselves a target by simply standing up for traditional.
Sophie Cunningham has been one of Caitlin Clark's most outspoken defenders throughout the season. She has repeatedly criticized the league and officials for failing to protect Clark from physical play. Cunningham has also called out specific incidents and players, even saying some teams have discussed making Clark understand what the WNBA is really like. Her willingness to speak openly has made her a controversial figure around the league.
Goo! That's assault, brother. You can't do that. What the fuck? Is this just the default if you can't think? Or if you just like don't want to take accountability for your actions? Oh my god, this league, bro, this league. Bro, white privilege while you're wearing a bleach blonde dyed wig. I mean, the fuck? What is privileged about that? You Stone Cold Steve Austin clotheslined her ass. What about that is white privilege? The WNBA stays undefeated. It truly does. They can't get out of their own.
That history helps explain why so many fans immediately believe the foul involved more than an ordinary basketball play. Cunningham had already established herself as someone willing to defend Clark and challenge how she is treated on the court. Now she was the one taking a hard forearm to the face that caused bleeding. Whether Carrington intended anything beyond the play or not, the optics became impossible to ignore once the ejection happened.
Beyond concerning at this point how far from the plot we have actually gotten. And when I say the plot, I mean the basketball. How far from the game of basketball we have spiraled. When we're talking about the WNBA, you know, we used to joke, it's like, oh, 0 days without drama in the WNBA. This league is living up to it at a rate and a level of concern that we haven't ever had. With all the
going on in the WNBA, DiJonai Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this, she fouled Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously a white person, fouled her hard. Flagrant 2, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant 2 has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. DiJonai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it. What the hell do y'all think?
And legendary broadcaster Dick Vitale had previously criticized Clark's low ranking in a league-wide player poll, calling the result pure jealousy. He argued that players would eventually recognize how much Clark had contributed financially to the league. After the Carrington incident, those comments took on new significance because another player connected closely to Clark and Cunningham had suffered a major physical hit. Instead of widespread support, some reactions appeared dismissive, raising questions about Vitale's earlier concerns.
Right across the face, coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant 2, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant 2. There is
Get what you fucking deserve.
And just getting her out of the
Lucky
way.
it wasn't a right hook.
Make no mistake about it, Carrington targeted Cunningham. She targeted her because of her political stances. She targeted Cunningham because of the praises that she keeps receiving. She targeted her with a dirty shot that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball. And then after getting ejected, she runs to the locker room to play the fucking victim card. Like she didn't try to just take off Cunningham's head in 4K. Like we all didn't just watch it happen. That is not competition. That is a grown woman swinging on someone who she disagrees with and then screaming racism when she gets held accountable for it. DiJonai Carrington needs to be held responsible, and I'm not talking about just getting ejected from the game. She deserves a suspension. Maybe she'll think twice next time before she tries to take somebody's fucking...
The actual play becomes much clearer when watched from beginning to end. Cunningham was racing down the court on a fast break and appeared ready for an easy layup when Carrington approached from behind. Instead of reaching for the ball, Carrington made heavy contact around Cunningham's face and neck, sending her hard to the floor. The ball still went through, but officials reviewed the incident and upgraded the foul to a flagrant 2, resulting in an automatic ejection.
Like the way Sophie Cunningham came down on her leg, she could have been injured. So they said, yo, get out of here, dog. Get out of here. Then, I don't know if y'all were looking at her lips. She was talking about, try me. Try me. Yo, you already tried Sophie? You got all the samples of Sophie. You talking about try me. What are you talking about? This lady is unhinged right now, man. This is crazy work. And it makes you wonder. It's like, dog, you were the best player for the Sky at this moment. Look how she landed on the leg. Oh my goodness. Like, you were the best player for the Sky, and you decided to do this? You weren't even thinking about the game. You was thinking about some kind of revenge or something. Somebody sent you on a mission. You were on a mission, dog. I don't know what you had going on here, but DiJonai, this is unacceptable. Disrespectful, disgusting, and I'm glad they got you up out of there. All right.
Cunningham immediately got back up, visibly furious, and confronted Carrington before teammates and officials separated them. The officiating crew later explained that Cunningham was not penalized for her reaction because it was considered understandable given the severity of the contact. That explanation is important because it confirms that officials viewed the original decision as serious. The situation quickly became another debate about how different reactions are handled across the league.
From the flagrant 2 on DiJonai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally, because again, this is a clothesline. It's flagrant 2.
That makes Carrington's comments afterward difficult for many viewers to understand. Officials had already determined that the contact was excessive and unnecessary, while Cunningham's reaction was considered reasonable. The foul was upgraded because of the dangerous contact to the head and neck, not because of either player's identity. The same safety rules are supposed to apply equally to every athlete competing in the league.
The fact that she said white privilege, that is the story. The story isn't that she got kicked out. It's that she tweeted out white privilege as though because Sophie Cunningham is white, somehow that's why she got kicked out. They go on to defend her, the story, the narrative that she's not a dirty player. She makes plays like this all the time. I put together a little clip of DiJonai Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA. I don't know if we can roll it, but she's taken her long fingernails. She's scratched Caitlin Clark's eyes out. She's had multiple instances of chasing people down from behind, trying the same SWAT and smashing them in the head and causing mini fights. She pulled another girl's hair. I don't know if we'll get to that clip in a second when she's falling. Totally dirty play. This is not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be a rough and tumble league. Now, where this thing gets absolutely bananas is when you start making it into a race and culture war, and the people talking about it are not mentioning 99% of the time that she went back and tweeted white privilege. White privilege how?
Instead of simply accepting the ejection, Carrington went directly to social media and posted white privilege while tagging the Indiana Fever. She offered no immediate explanation, leaving the internet to interpret the message for itself. Because the post appeared shortly after she had been ejected for the controversial foul involving Cunningham, many people naturally connected the two events. The timing immediately created another major controversy.
Paying attention to what DiJonai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham, it was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever. So to me, it was just very ignorant and to some degree asinine by DiJonai Carrington to suggest that that call was based on white privilege. Have we seen examples of white players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. Have we seen examples of black players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. There was no white privilege involved in that specific call. DiJonai, you hit.
Emmanuel Akko then addressed the situation publicly and argued that the incident was about basketball rules rather than race. He emphasized that Carrington made contact with Cunningham's head, caused bleeding, and did not make meaningful contact with the ball. Akko noted that similar hard fouls have involved players of different races without automatically becoming racial controversies. His criticism focused heavily on the timing and wording of Carrington's original post.
Once claimed that the assessment of the foul was white privilege. That was your assumption. Try exercising your critical thinking skills. I know you studied psych. Furthermore, I'm the last thing from ignorant or asinine when it comes to speaking on white privilege. Do your research on that one. I actually went to school, one of the top universities, might I add, to educate myself on this exact subject. I would never use that term as a rhetorical weapon, knowing the historical and social weight it holds, without having the proper evidence to substantiate it.
Carrington later appeared to argue that people had misunderstood what she meant. She suggested that the post was not necessarily connected to the ejection, despite appearing immediately afterward and tagging the team involved. That explanation left many viewers confused because of how closely the timing matched the incident. Critics argued that whatever her intention was, the original wording made the connection almost impossible for people to ignore.
You can't act as though you discovered the moon. You can't act as though you are the genius in a room and everybody else is idiotic. What I mean by that is, if you are going to suggest that we should think critically about a statement, white privilege, when you at the Indiana Fever, you didn't give us much to think critically about. You uttered a phrase, white privilege, of which is both incredibly inflammatory and also a very volatile word, but you didn't give us any context. So now we, as the interpreter, since you posted it publicly on Threads for the world to see, we, the interpreter, now have to try to figure out what exactly were you talking about? Well, common sense would deduce that you were talking about fouling a white individual and getting ejected for fouling that white individual. Now, as I said on social media and I will say in real life, if that is not what you were talking about implying, then that's on me. I will stand down and I will stand corrected. But the last thing I must again reiterate, we live in a speaker-oriented country. Speaker-oriented, receiver-oriented. Speaker-oriented country. It is on you, the speaker, to be clear, to be direct, and to be obvious with what you are speaking about. It is not on the receiver, the reader.
Nacho did not appear convinced by the clarification and responded with sarcasm, essentially saying he would accept her explanation if the two events were truly unrelated. The larger issue, however, was the lack of clarity surrounding the original post. When a controversial phrase is posted immediately after a heated ejection and directed toward the opposing team, people will naturally interpret the circumstances together. That became the central problem surrounding the entire dispute.
Sid Coulson is saying this, and I know it's a joke. Love a trans foul. This is essentially celebrating a player getting clobbered. You are on TV. You are. Not these other people online. You are. You were on TV basically saying Caitlin Clark was soft for taking a fist to the neck from Alyssa Thomas. You are. You got opportunities because of this organization. You got opportunities because of the Caitlin Clark brought on your head. You did. You benefited from it. You joined the Indiana Fever for those benefits. You took those benefits. You became more notorious. And as soon as you leave, you rejoin the sisterhood, then it's against Caitlin Clark, and you are
The controversy grew even larger when Sid Colson, who had previously played alongside Cunningham, publicly reacted to the foul by saying she loved it. Seeing a former teammate celebrate a play that left Cunningham hurt surprised many fans. It suggested that the disagreement surrounding Cunningham had extended beyond rival teams and into relationships within the league. The reaction added another layer to an already divisive situation.
I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that DiJonai intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, you know, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the neck.
Fever head coach Stephanie White also faced criticism for her comments following the incident. White said she did not believe Carrington intentionally targeted Cunningham's neck and described the play as part of competitive basketball. That response surprised some fans because Cunningham had been hit hard enough to bleed. At the same time, Clark and Cunningham have helped drive major increases in attention, ticket demand, and television interest surrounding the league.
Cunningham has literally been dragged. She's been called every name but a child of God. Coaches have come out and spoken against her. Fans have come out in the name of calling Sophie Cunningham anti-trans and transphobic. It's not far-fetched to say that the league itself in totality does not like Sophie Cunningham. And yet, after intentionally grabbing Sophie Cunningham around her neck and getting ejected for that, DiJonai runs to Twitter to say the reason why she was ejected was because of the white privilege Sophie Cunningham, a white, straight female, carries in a basically 80% black, almost 90% LGBTQ-led league. Oh yeah, that's where Sophie Cunningham is getting her white privilege, in this WNBA minstrel show of a freaking basketball league. That's where her white privilege is starting to show. DiJonai Carrington, you're a fucking joke. You went up thinking that you were gonna get the ball. You knew that you weren't anywhere near getting the ball, and so while you were up in the air, you figured this was your chance to grab her, Sophie Cunningham, around her neck and bring her down by her neck.
The situation becomes even more unusual when considering how much financial attention Clark and Cunningham have brought to the WNBA. Larger crowds, stronger television numbers, and increased visibility have benefited players throughout the league. Yet some reactions toward the players driving that attention have appeared hostile or resentful. Carrington's foul, her social media post, Colson's reaction, and White's comments all contributed to a growing debate about the league's internal culture.
Players who commits a clear flagrant 2 and then tweets white privilege right after she goes to the locker room. You can't then cry that this is being talked about in racial terms in a culture. She started that. This is a basketball play. The second you go white privilege, and they are talking about it on these telecasts without mentioning what she tweeted. Oh, they're turning into a culture war, turning into a race war. This is our league. Don't let conservatives or the right hijack it. Your player tweeted white privilege, and it had...
The WNBA now finds itself balancing an enormous surge in attention with controversy surrounding how some players respond to that success. The officials appeared to handle the foul through the established review process, but everything afterward created a much bigger issue. The social media post, Carrington's clarification, Akko's response, and the reaction from others have kept the controversy alive. Ultimately, the aftermath may say more about the league's current culture than the original foul itself.